The country's largest group of doctors has gone ahead with a scheduled one-day strike this Monday to protest the government's plan to introduce telemedicine and for-profit subsidiaries of hospitals. For an in-depth look into this issue, we are joined live in the studio by Dr. Byoung-joo, the head of KL&P Consulting, and of course our regular commentator on this program. Good afternoon to you, Dr. Kim.
Good afternoon.
Now, what does this scope of participation tell us about the overall situation? Our Kwon-soa reported that 29% of local clinics have taken part in this demonstration.
The critical thing about the numbers is, though, I don't think any number is really confirmed. And the numbers that are being released by different entities are being released to serve their own interests, meaning that government side seems to be showing the numbers that seem to be quite low, and the medical doctor side, they seem to be releasing numbers that seem to be a little bit higher than what government is saying. So there are no numbers that have been firmly confirmed here. But the thing is, 97% was the 14 years ago the participation rate of the doctors when there was a separation of dispensing of drugs from prescribing the drugs. So
was that really 14 years ago already?
Yeah, it was 14 years ago. Time flies. And, that's what the government and the public had been concerned about, the overall reasonably high participation ratio, which, by the way, is not being materialized. The numbers are all over the board. As of 10 a.m. this morning, so for instance, different regions had different numbers. Ulsan, for instance, seemed to have the highest rate of participation, about 33%, while in Gwangju it was about lower than actually 2% of the local community clinics participating in this. The critical point to watch was the residents, medical residents who are participating. Out of about 17,000 residents in Korea, they're talking about 7,000 participating, about 42%. But then again, these numbers are from the medical doctors, so we cannot totally 100% rely on those numbers. So overall, the bottom line is the participation seems to be quite low, and what we know from what we have known from the beginning is that these neighborhood clinics, they just cannot afford to close down their clinic more than a day or two, because this all means lost revenue. And they are working very hard to sustain their business, paying their nurses and medical staff here. So 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, each day as time goes by, it means considerable financial loss for the medical doctors. So general expectation is the participation will not rise to begin with, even if when we get into the second round, which is 24th. Overall participation will ratio will have to remain low.
Right. How much of the key issue has been ironed out so far?
Not so much. We knew from the beginning the overall insurance payment to the doctor is the hidden and the central critical part of this negotiation between government on one hand and medical doctors on the other. But the thing is, some new development, telemedicine. Telemedicine part, of course, has been the touch issue here, because the neighborhood medical clinics are very sensitive about this issue. If this is allowed, what will happen, they're saying, is most of the patients, especially chronic patients, will be drawn into the big hospitals, and they will lose their business. By the way, by saying that, we are highlighting the fact this is like a fixed pie issue here, meaning that the clinics may lose their business and then bigger hospitals will gain more. So once again, medical doctors are not united on this issue. But through the negotiation, the key sticking point is that government has insisted that the government and the medical doctors will come up with an agreement to introduce a law first and then trial runs. While medical doctors had argued during the negotiation, which was last month, saying that, well, we should have the trial runs first and then introduce the law. That was the breaking point. They could not agree on that one. That's why medical doctors decided to go ahead with this overall strike. There's a third issue that you may remember, that is allowing subsidiary businesses being created by these big hospitals.
Right, for profit.
Right, exactly. Quite interestingly, that's not being talked about as much here, even though potentially speaking, when the critics of the government proposal are saying that actually when these big hospitals are allowed to open their businesses, they can actually divert the profits that have been made through the medical services to run their own non-medical businesses, which could actually compromise the quality of medical service. That's not being talked about. So it's insurance payment as a hidden central agenda, while telemedicine is like a big time, very controversial subject.
Well, the public obviously is not very happy about this. The patient's health is at risk due to this, this shutdown. What do you read into their reaction?
It's totally one-sided for the government and the public together here. Even, conservative media, which in some of the countries probably would expect to take side with medical doctors. In Korea, it's totally one-sided. Conservative media are totally critical of the medical doctors here, and a quite interesting thing is some of the progressive media are kind of taking a little bit of neutral approach. Looks like they're having a good time in seeing the medical doctors giving the government hard time here. So it's a very interesting phenomena that's going on in Korean media, though.
Well, the government, it's got to have a strategy going forward.
Indeed, but the thing is, the critics of the government, which is, by the way, very small minority here, because the public and government is very much united, these critics have been saying that government has been showing too much of hubris here, too much hard line, no room for negotiation. They have angered the medical doctors. When we need more of smoother negotiation and compromise between the two divided sides, government has been too one-sided. We know the reason. The public is totally on the side of government for keeping the medical costs low and all that kind of stuff. So that has been the key reason a lot of critics are saying at this point. So let's give it more time. Next round is 24th, the second strike. Whether it will be materialized or not, it will all depend on maybe perhaps government coming up with a little bit more of a flexible approach and the medical doctors changing their mind, considering the overall public opinion.
Right. Hopefully, we will not see the second round, which is supposed to be a 6-day run of a walkout happen, and that we will see an end to this as of today. All right, Dr. Kim Byoung-joo, thank you so much for today. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Okay.